For our first video, we are going to look at what is actually the foundations of all the logic and proofs and everything that we're going to be doing in the class, and that is the notion of mathematical statements. So first we're going to determine what the term statement means. We're going to give some examples of sentences that are statements and some other sentences that are not statements to give you an idea of how that definition works. And then we're going to show how to combine statements to create new statements. And finally, we're going to look at what happens if you have a sentence, determine whether or not it's a statement, even if you don't know whether it's true or false. So we'll get into those details in a little bit. But for right now, let's actually just talk about what a statement is. A statement is just a sentence that is either unambiguously true or unambiguously false. And I want you to note that you don't necessarily have to know whether it's unambiguously true or unambiguously false, but you know it is one of those. So here are some sentences. The first one is the number 3 is an integer, and by definition, the number 3 is definitely an integer, so not only is that a statement, but it is a true statement. And we know it to be true. We can say the number 5 is a solution to the equation 2x plus 3 equals 6. And we can check by plugging in x equals 5 to see if it works. So we get 2 times 5 plus 3, that equals 13. 13 is not equal to 6, but I should note that doesn't make it not a statement. It just doesn't make it a true statement. So it is a statement, but it is a false statement. Now 2x plus 5y equals 9, that one, if you're not looking at it very carefully, doesn't even look like a sentence, but it actually is. You could think of 2x plus 5y as the subject, equals is the verb, and then 9 is the object. So 2x plus 5y equals 9 is a sentence. However, it is not a statement because depending on what the values of x and y are, it could be true or it could be false. So ambiguous as far as whether it's true or false. So we can't say it's unambiguously true. We can't say it's unambiguously false. Therefore, not a statement. However, if we take that 2x plus 5y equals 9 and add a little bit to it to say there exist real numbers x and y such that 2x plus 5y equals 9, that one turns out to be a statement. So for instance, if we put in x equals 2 and y equals 1, that makes the equation true, which means that not only is this a statement, but it is a true statement. We can also take that sentence 2x plus 5y equals 9 and put a for all in front of it. For all numbers x and y, 2x plus 5y is equal to 9. Now that one, there are lots of pairs of numbers that make it false. If you just chose, say, x equals 0 and y equals 0, you get 0 equals 9, which is false, which means that it's not a true statement. However, it is a statement. It just happens to be false. So here are some weirdo type of sentences that turn out not to be statements for really strange reasons. So here is a sentence that is referring to itself. This sentence is true. And depending on whether you assume the sentence is true or a sentence is false, either way, it's consistent with what the sentence is saying. So for instance, if I assume the sentence to be true, when I say this sentence is true, that is true. If the sentence is true, then this sentence is true. But even if I assume the sentence is false, right, then if saying that this sentence is true is itself false. So saying this sentence is true, whether or not the sentence is true or false, it is consistent with both of those. So it's ambiguous as to whether it's true or false. So could be true, could be false, so not a statement. If I have the self-referential sentence, this sentence is false, that one kind of has the opposite problem. Because let's say I assume the sentence, this sentence is false, is true. So if I say the sentence, it is true. But then if I say the sentence, it is, this sentence is false, so that means this sentence has to be false. Which means if I assume the sentence is true, saying the sentence makes the sentence false. So it can be not, it can't, if I assume it's true, the sentence itself is saying that it's false. So that's contradictory. Now, if I assume the sentence is false, then that means if I say the actual sentence, that is a false statement. But if I assume the sentence is false, what I'm saying is this sentence is false, which I was assuming to be true which makes the sentence true. So if I assume the sentence is true, the sentence is saying that it's false, which is contradictory. If I assume the sentence is false, then saying the sentence is true, which is also contradictory. So that sentence can be neither true nor false, so not a statement. Now, opinions are kind of along the same lines. Journey is awesome, which I believe to be true. However, you may say, dude, the 80s were a long time ago. Journey is not awesome anymore. That's a perfectly fine opinion. Opinions can't be statements. They're ambiguous as far as they're true or false. It depends on the person saying them. And if I say something like, please bring your notes to class, that isn't a statement either, because even if you bring your notes to class, that doesn't make my command true. It just means you brought your notes to class in response to me saying bring your notes to class. If I say you bring your notes to class and you bring them to class, that is a true statement. But if I request or command you to do something, that's not a statement. And that is actually going to be important when you start writing statements in your own work. Please, if you write a command, that's not going to count as a statement. All right, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about combining statements. It is possible to create a new statement from other statements, or looking at it the other way, it's possible to have a statement that is itself composed of other statements. So if I say something like, today I will do some yard work, or I will take a nap, that is actually a statement that is made up of two other statements. I have the entire thing it's of course a statement, but also I will do some yard work is a statement, and I will take a nap is a statement. Again, may be true, may be false. You don't know what I actually did, but you know it's going to be a statement. However, those individual statements, I will do some yard work and I will take a nap, those can't be broken down. So there's some statements that can be broken down. There are some statements that can't be broken down. And speaking of statements that are where you combine other statements, you might have noticed in that one we used a connector between those two individual statements, or. And I really want to explain carefully what or means in the context of this class, because in the life you live outside of this class, the word or can mean at least two different things. So the first or is what's called, or the first or I'm going to talk about is what's called the exclusive or. And that is the type of or you might get if you went to, say, a restaurant and the server asked you, do you want a soup or salad with your dinner? Right? That will allow you to have either one or the other of soup or salad. You either have soup or you have salad, but you cannot have both. In the context of that particular statement, that's what the word or means. But you can't have both. The inclusive or works a little bit differently. You could have something, say, standing at a bridge. Not that this will happen in your real life, but let's say if I say, I will let you cross this bridge if you juggle these tennis balls or if you stand on your head. Now in that case, the or means something slightly different, because it allows you to cross if you juggle the balls. It also allows you to cross if you stand on your head. But I mean, implicitly, if you can do both of those things, if you juggle the tennis balls and stand on your head, presumably, I'm going to let you cross. Of course, if you do, I will still call you a show-off, but still, you'll be able to cross the bridge. So those are two different kinds of or. When we use or in our class, we are going to use the inclusive or, which means that if I say, today I will do some yard work or I will take a nap, that means it will be true if I do yard work. It will be true if I take a nap. And, if I'm doing yard work, I'm going to be tired, probably going to take a nap anyway. It is also going to be true if I do both. And in fact, the only way that statement will be false is if I don't do yard work and also I don't take a nap. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about what happens when you have a sentence where you don't know if it's true or false. Can you still tell whether or not it's a statement? The answer is, yeah, sometimes. So here's a sentence, perfectly good sentence. Now, first of all, I will tell you for the purposes of this sentence, I do have a dog. But I'm not telling you anything else about my dog. But I'm going to say the sentence, my dog is part Australian cattle dog. And you are supposed to figure out whether or not that's a statement. Well, you have no idea whether my dog is a part Australian cattle dog or not. Right? You don't know what breed my dog is at all. However, you do know there are only two possibilities. Either my dog is part Australian Cattle Dog, or my dog is not part Australian Cattle Dog. In either case, that is going to be a statement. If my dog is part Australian Cattle Dog, that means it is going to be a true statement. If my dog is not part Australian Cattle Dog, that means it's not a true statement, it's a false statement. But in either case, the sentence is a statement. So even if you can't tell whether the sentence is true or false, you can still tell whether or not it is a statement. All right, so I think you're ready to work on that first set of activities. It is included as a PDF file with this video, and it is called Introduction to Statements.